All right, guys, we are live in the studio tonight. I'm the One Fun Guy podcast. Tonight, my guests are going to be Resist the Temptation. Guys, introduce yourself, fill us in, and then tell us what we got going on here.
I'll kick things off since I'm right next to you. My name is Dylan. I play guitar in the band located in Long Island, New York.
Yeah, I'm Katie. I play bass. I do some vocals. We're all on Long Island except for Phil.
Phil's the outcast.
I'm that guy. Hi, I'm Phil, and I do the drums.
Hi, I'm Sandy B. I'm the lead singer of Resist the Temptation. Thank you for having us.
Awesome, guys. So I'm glad you're here. So let's start out, which is kind of the basic, general question is an intro that I usually ask all my musical guests that I have on. Who are your guys' biggest influences? Like, what kind of styles of music do you like? Who do you guys feel that, set the pavement for you guys? Like, if you can give us a little bit of insight on that.
Yeah. So we always say that we're all pretty different with our musical styles as you kind of go through the four of us. And it's pretty awesome for what it is that created Resist the Temptation. For me specifically, my favorite band of all time is Disturbed. And the whole reason that I play guitar is because of Disturbed, and alternative metal, new metal is kind of my forte with all that stuff in the early 2000s. So that's a little bit about my influences with that specific part of Resist the Temptation.
Yeah, I think for me, I listen to so many different kinds of music, mostly metal and rock. A lot of stoner, doom, sludge, stuff like that.
I guess it's me.
I guess so. We're going to
you guys can hop in. There's no order. We don't have to go you guys can hop in and around. It's an open forum.
The floor is lava.
What?
Me, kind of alt rock, lighter, definitely opposite of Katie, but a little bit of punk as well. So a little bit on the lighter side, but do listen to some metal time to time.
So I grew up on rock, mostly emo, punk music, alternative rock, a little bit of metal. But then I slowly started to get into more pop. And now I'm currently into a lot of R&B.
Okay. So how did you guys come up with your style? How did that mold in? Because obviously you guys are more hard rock, heavy metal. You're, to go that route as opposed to go emo or go punk, or what made you choose that style?
Yeah.
I think it just kind of came to us.
I think, I was about to say, it was kind of natural.
Yeah.
So it found you?
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. I mean, I think it's just all about kind of just letting each other be who we are and let it influence the music in the band. And that's kind of how we just created something unique to us.
Awesome. So let's take it back to the beginning. How did you guys all meet?
Yeah, this is great. I always love telling the story because before this, the four of us basically never knew each other. We all met on the good old Facebook. Basically there was kind of this Phil. I actually did know Phil a little bit before this band, and basically there was another project that Phil was a part of, and after he was kind of done with that, he approached me and was like, "Hey, are we you still doing it?" I'm like, "Nope." And then we decided to start jamming a little bit, and then after that we found Sandy and Katie just basically kind of by complete accident. And then the four of us just decided to write music, and we've never been friends before that, and now we're very close to each other. So it's funny how that sort of works out, because it's complete strangers, and now we've been at this now for 5.5, almost 6 years now, and we're all original members. We've recorded every song together, so it's pretty awesome.
Right. And you know, it's kind of crazy, right? Because the power of social media, right? It helps you in this thing, right? Because that's how I met Dylan, right?
Yeah.
We were just on one night, me and my buddy do a podcast, and Dylan hopped on with his, you know, with the Resist the Temptation, and we started chatting, and then it kind of grew from there. And we got obviously a pet that's joining us tonight. Is that the fifth member?
Phil, is Theodore wanting to be in the podcast? Oh,
He's more than welcome.
I'm sorry.
he's so
It's a family
cute.
affair.
Come on, please move out of the camera. Come on.
Oh, hi, Theodore. I love you.
Ooh.
I wanted to
I
take
miss
you
him.
home.
No, it's all good.
When
Sorry,
there's
it happens a lot.
No, it's fine. So when you guys came up with the band, how did like Resist the Temptation come into play? Was that like a name you guys had thought of? Did you stumble upon it? Was it stewing? Did you just kind of?
The name.
I think
think
Sam didn't it?
I
Didn't she?
did. Yeah. We were like standing outside of the studio and we were like, what are we gonna call ourselves? And like I don't remember what the examples were, but we were like, resist the donuts, resist the I was like, hello, come on guys. Resist the temptation. Duh.
Duh.
And Dylan was like, yes, that's it.
Bet. No cap.
Yeah. Okay.
Very Dylan lingo.
And then it was just RTT for you know, from there on. That's it.
Awesome. So the writing process, guys, when you started as a band, did you guys all have songs pre-written? Did you guys write them together? Did you kind of
No.
music first lyrics, or how did your process go?
A lot of
So-
it was, yeah, go ahead, Katie.
Well, I was going to say just before I started the band, because they did kind of establish before I started. They had 4 songs already written. And then when we actually went to go record those songs, we deconstructed all of them. So
Yeah.
there were songs that were like established, but they've all changed since.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like even before like Katie came into the band, like we all just like kind of remember like at least me, Sandy, and Phil were like always like, all right, let's try to like write a song here in like the middle of band practice. And it was just like we like one of the first songs we ever wrote was a song called Numb, and it like completely changed probably like 500
Yeah.
times, and it like the
Yeah.
tuning changed and the way it like was written, and it was like
Uh-huh.
the first song we ever wrote like as a band. So like after that, kind of like the rest was history. We just, you know, I had some ideas like before going into this band. I had some songs, but like as Katie said, like a lot of them were deconstructed and then like reworked to just, you know, make what you're hearing now.
So when you guys go into like a band practice and stuff like that, when you guys play together, do you kind of, are you always creating new music, or are you trying to focus on the songs you already have to make them better, or like what's your process like?
It's a
I
great
think our writing process is a little bit different than that. I think it's because we don't really go into a practice and start writing. I think it really starts how we've been doing it lately, because it's ever changing. But how we've been doing it lately is me and Dylan will meet. We'll come up with a few riffs, bring that to the band. We'll establish like the structure and everything, and then last come the vocals. So everything is done behind the scenes before we get to practice, and then we come to practice and kind of finalize it together.
Yeah. Except for villainize me.
Oh yeah, well, villainize me. Yeah, that's it. Well, we're not talking about that yet.
Okay, we won't talk about that yet.
We're not talking about that yet.
That's a little Easter egg for the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's all good.
Whoop.
So when you guys get together, right, and you create music, how do you book your shows? Is it something where you guys look for venues to play? Do you let them come to you? Do you guys kind of navigate locally? Do you try to branch out, you know, go to different places, or do you kind of like just stay, you know, because you know, in Chicago, I've said this before, and I don't know why, but we do not have a lot of bands from Chicago that play locally that are from Chicago. No one ever seems to break big out of our city. Disturbed, Dylan mentioned, they're probably the biggest rock band we've had. And we always kind of seem to have guys that stay just more local. They never seem to branch out unless they're on tour with somebody. How do you guys feel? Like, do you guys try to get the local scene going, or do you try to establish yourself more across the area?
Both.
Yeah. I would definitely like, so, we all from the pretty much like the beginning of the band, I would say like we've done like, obviously we've grown our scene here in Long Island, but we actually played out of state. Like we play out of state pretty prolifically. And a lot of it is like, I'll shoot an email out to the venue and like I'll run it by the band, and then they'll pitch in and help like with gigs and stuff like that, and we'll make friends so that way they're hitting us up for shows as well, like as we're developing more and more relationships. But like like in the beginning it was a lot of I would go to a place like in New Jersey and be like, yo, this place is cool, how do we play here? And I would go like detective mode and find the email and email the promoter and like try to come up with dates, and like then all of a sudden you need bands, so you need to get a lineup, and it's like you kind of like learn how to play promoter a little bit too, because it's like you're trying to build the show. So like in the past like 5.5 years, like we built some really good relationships with a lot of really great local venues, like across the tri-state area and beyond, that open their doors for us, like pretty much anytime we want to play, which is really awesome. Like playing out of state is something that we do because we're always trying to expand our our reach and stuff like that.
Sure. So now when you guys book a show, is it something where do you guys book it based on numbers? Do you just book it because they let you? How do you guys pick a venue to do it? Is it kind of like, a local band, you could ask more of your local friends to come kind of fill the place versus going somewhere maybe far away where nobody might know you, or only a few people might come and follow you? Well, how do you navigate that scene?
It's a gamble. I think right at this point right now, we're just trying to get ourselves in front of people, try to find whatever new venues we can to just make connections with people, different promoters and owners and stuff like that.
Play at different places,
Yeah.
kind
Nice.
of expand our reach.
Okay. Now, when you guys promote your stuff, right? That's a big thing now, right? Most bands that I've had on the show do it themselves. They self-promote. They don't have a manager anymore. They kind of just work within themselves. Do you guys find that to be the way that it works for you guys too? Is that kind of the big thing now? Why waste your money on somebody else when you can do it yourselves? Is that kind of the...
I don't think we know any different right now. Like this
Okay.
is all we know. This is all. So we have nothing really to compare it to. I think that was an avenue that we're looking into currently to see if it's worth it. But
yeah, it's a tough thing, right? Because like I've come across that myself, right? I do all my own editing, I do all my own video work, I do all my own promotion. But all I could think about is if I had somebody else doing this for me, it would save me a lot of time. And time is,
for sure.
something we don't have a lot of, right? So I'm in the same boat. That's why I asked, because most of the bands that I've had on all do their own promotion. They're all on social media. One person in the band will focus on Facebook. The other one will focus on TikTok. The other one will focus on Instagram, and they all kind of run their own part of it. And they seem to me that works best for them. I've only had one band that was lucky enough that one of their family members actually does social media promotion. So he does it all for them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a favor to them to do it. So that they're the only ones I know that we're lucky enough to have somebody do it for themselves, do it for them.
No, we're completely DIY. We're very like do it ourselves, and like we definitely like the good thing with us is like the workload is split, and like we're very thankful for that. Like everyone kind of is really special at what they do in the band in terms of like the logo and how to book shows and like what we're gonna look like and the content and the names of the songs, and like the list goes on. We have like weekly standing. We actually had a meeting before we talked to you. Like we have like a weekly meeting every single week. That's been like the new thing this year. Like we've been trying to meet every single week just because like we have a new release and we have new stuff coming out, as I'm sure we'll touch on that later, but it's like we feel like, and it's good to have weekly meetings, because like then when we do meet, sometimes our meetings are like 4 hours long, and it's like you can't retain any information on a 4-hour meeting, like so it's, as we do it more frequently, we hit a record today. Our meeting today was like an hour. Like
yeah. It was really good.
That's a record.
You had to be on. That's why.
That's
so maybe we should do that every time, like just have a podcast. We need
So
to
how
run
you guys,
some-
have you guys,
I've been-
obviously I saw the few podcasts that you've done before this. Is
Yeah.
this kind of a thing that's new to you guys now, like talking to different people and like going
Oh,
on
yeah.
a show and like answering
Yeah.
questions, right? Because
Oh, yeah.
my style is more, I kind of like to keep it flowing. Like I said, I don't
Yeah.
really want to ask a question and have you guys answer it. I think it's kind of boring and mundane to just go down the list of asking the questions, you know, to have more of a conversation style. But as you guys do this, is this something now you're more comfortable with? Is this like doing interviews and stuff like that? Because it is free promotion, right? Like, let's
Yeah.
face it, that's why we do it. That's why we're all here.
Yeah, I think this is like our, I think it's like our third
Third.
podcast
Third,
Okay.
yeah.
that we've ever done. So like,
This
we're
is
definitely still a little new, but yeah, I mean, like they range, like they range, and like we've done a few actually, and we've started doing the podcast like again, like pretty recently, ever since our
Mhm.
first release. So like that's just been something that I was like, this might be good, like to promote ourselves and talk to people that are in the music scene just like us, that could like talk to bands and stuff like that, like yourself. So
Yeah,
we're
I think it
still,
also shows a lot of our personality too. Let's people
Yeah.
that's
get
true.
to know us
Yeah.
a little bit better than just reels and
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know,
that's the
through our
best thing,
music,
right?
you know?
When you can actually put something out that's like you and you're authentic. Like, when I first started the podcast, I struggled with that immensely, right? Because I was doing everything that I thought other influencers wanted you to
Mhm.
do, spending a ton of time on social media, devoting all my effort into it. And then I realized like, nothing's working. Like, I'm going to do my own thing. And that's kind of what I did. So I
Mhm.
kind of stepped away. I took a step back. And I know that like with you guys, being in a band, like it's very similar to what I do. Just obviously I don't have to do the rehearsals as much as you guys do, but like putting yourself out there and like talking to different people and stuff, it's a weird thing, right? Because when you go to concerts and you go to shows, right, you get to meet your fans face to face, right? Hey, when we're off the stage, we're going to be by our merch table, come say hi, take a picture, right? You have that
Yeah.
face to face interaction, where this, we're in two different time zones, right? So this is kind of cool that we get to have this conversation, and to think that 10 years ago we didn't have this.
Yeah. And we were also like thinking too, like this is gonna give us practice to talking about our art and stuff and make us feel a little bit more comfortable about talking about it too.
Yep.
So that definitely that too.
Yeah, and the thing is that obviously you guys obviously don't have any stage fright, or you're not shy, right? You're a band, you play in front of people. It's kind of what you do. But it's really interesting when you talk to people that have never done this before. They are really nervous about doing it, and I'm shocked by it because I don't really have a problem talking with anybody. But like when you try to convince somebody to do a podcast, right when they start to come on, they get really nervous, and I'm like, don't be nervous. It goes quick. It's fine. It's like having a FaceTime conversation, right?
Yeah.
But just other people are watching it. It's the best way to describe it. But it's
Mhm.
really weird when you get people on that, like when you ask them a question, they get really nervous to answer it. And it's kind of like when you're live, you can't be like, hey, relax, just take it easy, right? Or it's going to be a fun show, but it's kind of unique. But obviously talking to bands, most of you guys are very outgoing, and it's why I like having the musicians on, because you guys can talk to anybody, right? You're on stage, you perform, it's your art, it's your craft, it's what you do, which is super easy for me because then I don't have to really kind of walk you through it, right? You know what to do.
Right.
I mean, I would say that playing music or singing and playing music is completely different than like public speaking.
Sure.
Which is like,
For sure.
This is kind of like borderline public speaking because
Yeah.
you're still speaking to people, but I can't see them. So
Yeah, like I have
that
no
helps a little
problem.
bit.
I have no problem screaming at people on stage, but when I actually have to like ask for like something at a store or something, I'm just like, don't look at me, please. Like, so yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, you guys are doing great so far. So that's so going back to the live shows, right? You guys are obviously super energetic. You guys do you take all your equipment with you? Do you play your own instruments? Do you rent stuff out? Do you use the house system? Do you guys bring your own PAs? Like how do you guys operate?
Yeah, it's a good question. Like 9 times out of 10, we've been like, nowadays a lot of venues do actually offer like, a pretty decent backline in terms of like your basic stuff, like a house kit, maybe some cabinets, so that way you could plug your amps into them and things like that. But, in terms of me, I bring my own guitars. I have like a floor unit that I use as my amplifier. Pretty much I'm pretty much good to go, like in every single situation. And like, you know, all of us have our own stuff that we usually bring to gigs and stuff like that. Like, you know, Katie, I know you have stuff too that you regularly bring.
Yeah, I think well, it depends because it depends on where we're playing. Because if we're going out of state, most likely we're trying to cut down as much as possible because there's not
Mhm.
much room in our cars. So like my amp is pretty large. I try not to bring that thing unless I really have to. But yeah, like yeah, Dylan has his system. Like I use pedals. That I like, but yeah, I'll mooch off of people if I have to. um yeah, a lot of, as Dylan said, there's a lot of good stuff out there, so usually I'm not afraid of sounding not like myself, you know.
I'm
Yeah.
sure Phil has a different answer because most drummers have to share the kits.
If you want a good arm workout, I would suggest start doing some curls with my hardware bag. 'Cause there's times where I'm picking up like nothing. All of a sudden, if it's like Sandy, they're like, "Oh, this thing weighs 1,000 pounds." I'm like, and I'm picking up. I'm like, just...
Right.
But usually, most of the time, like if I have to use my whole kit, like whole entire drum kit, I will. I would prefer like if there's like a house kit or like if a band offers, okay. But if I have to like bring my kit, I'll load up the kit and my hardware and cymbals and everything. But I've been thankfully with the bands we've been playing with and the places we play with. Thankfully, everyone is like, it's a good community. Was like, okay, I'll let you use my bass amp, or I'll let you use my guitar amp. I'll bring the house shells, just bring the hardware. So luckily, with the community we've been playing with for our shows, everyone's been very good with helping each other out and like sharing with gear if someone needs this or that. So pretty much a shout out to every single band that we've played with, and
Yeah.
thankful for it.
Nice. Now, when you guys book a show and you want to play with other bands, do you pick the bands you want to play with, or does the organization, that kind of the place you go to, say, well, you have 3 other bands. If you want to take this time slot, you can do it. Or do you guys try to pick other rock bands to go with, or do they tell you where to go and what time you're going to be on?
Yeah. So I
Both.
mean, yeah, it's both. It's definitely both.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes you have to pick the lineup and yourself because the venue just doesn't do that. And then like sometimes like there's promoters that are really on it that are like, we got everything set up for you. Like you're good to go. Like you don't have to do anything. Like it really just depends on like the venue and the place and where you want to play.
Okay. So speaking into that, I know you guys just released some new music. Talk about that process, right? Getting your music out there, putting it on different streaming platforms, pressing actual CDs and vinyl. If you guys do that, like walk our viewers through that.
So we have a new song out. It's called Hypnotized. It's on all the major streaming platforms. We have a total of 7 songs currently that are across all major streaming platforms. But yeah, I mean, the content and the pressing the song, I gotta hand it over to Katie and Sandy because they're like the masterminds behind like all that promo and making all the content and stuff. So I'll give it to them to let them kind of dive into the concepts with stuff like that.
Yeah, so we use DistroKid, right? Like we use DistroKid. We submitted everything through them. I know that once we release all of the songs, because we have an EP coming out, just like 4 songs. So we're gonna waterfall each of them. I think the last one will be out in October. And then we'll have that's when we'll start with the CDs and everything, finally having things on a physical music. But yeah, me and Sandy, you know, I think Sandy does more of the social media like
It's a
videos
lot
than
of
I do.
planning.
But yeah,
Well, you help me plan it, and we create
For
them
sure.
together. Like it's definitely a team effort.
Yeah, it does take a lot of time.
Yeah, and then we all like collaborate on the ideas, and how we want to promote the songs
Okay.
together.
So when you guys will actually have a physical CD out, is that something that like now you're on your own to promote that as well? Or does the person who presses the CD give you a certain amount to like say, okay, these are what you have. If you want to order more, you buy more. Like, how does that process work?
I don't
Or
know.
have you
We
not
didn't
gotten
really
there
look
yet?
into it yet. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
we haven't
we've
gotten
heard.
to that point
Yeah,
yet.
I know that like they're probably not going to do anything for us other than printing it out for us. You know, like they might we might be able to like send them a copy and just be like, we just want this again. I have no
Okay.
idea how that works, to be honest.
Mm.
That'll be awesome. So when you guys drop it, then you'll come back on, you know,
Yeah,
next
I'll
year
tell
and tell
you.
us how
Yeah.
that happened. So we know, 'cause, you know,
Is
it's
that-
kind of a unique thing because obviously I have no idea how that works, but it's kind of a cool concept because obviously you can make a song and put it on, but when you actually have to have physical copies of it, right? If you go live and you want people to buy your CDs and your merch, you have to have physical things, right? Shirts, hats, CDs. So it's kind of a unique thing that, you know, obviously you guys are just, you know, in the beginning process of that, but like the vision is there. You could definitely see it because obviously you guys do a great job on your social media, right? Like your videos are very well edited. Everything sounds good. You know, it's very well put together. So the time that you put into that obviously shows because it pays off very well because all your promo videos are fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we'll move on next to I know that you guys obviously have 7 songs and you make music. What is your recording process like? Do you guys do it each individually from your own place and put it together digitally, or do you get together as a band and do it? Like, how do you guys actually put the stuff together?
Yeah, so typically what we do is like we'll make it's it's definitely gotten a lot like more organized over the years because like in the beginning like we would just like especially in the beginning when we were like first writing songs, it was like we've just gotten better at our craft as we've gone like throughout the process. But really at its core is like we have a demo that we make. Usually we make demos on our recording software like DAW, whatever we use, whether that's I think at the time we were using Logic and like now we might use Reaper. So like we'll make a demo, but really like we go to a official like recording studio out here in Long Island, New York called Westfall Studios, and like they produced so many bands like at their disposal. And we work with our producer's name is Billy, and we've worked with him basically since we've released Defiant, which is like the second song that we've released after Unfair. So ever since Defiant, when was that again? Like summer of 2023? 23?
2020, and it was in January.
Okay. All right. So I was wrong. But it was in there somewhere in there. But like we released, and after that, we've been working with him ever since. We've worked with him on the other releases, and then we started working with him on this new EP that we're starting to put out. So like he's really easy to work with, and like again, we've gotten better with the process because like now we kind of finish the demos, we kind of get it to like where as far as we can take it, and then we like present him the song, and he will like give us feedback on like where we should make cuts, like what we should do differently. And again, that's something we've improved, especially on this new EP. Like
yeah, and I know that like usually how we'll do it in the studio is Dylan will play to the demo, we'll get the guitars down, then I come in, and then Phil comes in, and then Sandy finishes it off.
Yeah, or they'll flip. I think
sometimes it's me first and then Phil.
Yeah,
right.
It's a little unorthodox because usually it's drums, bass, guitars, vocals, but
right
after the process, like a couple of songs, Billy was like, all right, why don't you guys try it this way? Because I've seen some success with guitars first and then bass and then flip-flopping between drums and vocals on some songs where it'd be drums and vocals or then vocals and drums. So we took that in consideration. And for the new EP that we have, I mean, with the way we did it, it works for us. I mean, I can't say that it works for everyone, but for us, it works.
That's awesome. So how do you guys now, moving like kind of outside of the music into like, personal lives, how do you balance the time between family, music, touring, writing? Like it's obviously there's a lot on your plate. How do you guys manage that?
We're dedicated.
Yeah, it's true. That's a
good question.
We try to stay organized, and we
Yeah.
try to like, respect each other's time and just like figure it out, like
Yeah.
make it work.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta give a shout out to, especially like, I gotta give a shout out to Katie, because like she made this new had this new like calendar thing that we've been using this year, and like
Oh
we've
yeah, that's
we
great.
made a lot of really big changes this year that I feel like, because we've done that, like so many good things have happened for us because of like these minor little changes. Like we have like this acting calendar where like everyone puts their availability. We put shows when we're having meetings, and it sends like
Right.
7,000 notifications.
It does every day.
Yeah, it does.
Like, it'll be
Yeah.
like Dylan not available a week before. Dylan not,
It's true.
like
Yeah,
I gotta
yeah.
like I gotta go on a date tonight.
Yeah, but it's a great process. Yeah,
Like,
the calendar
it's
keeps us
good, yeah.
organized.
And I
Like-
think the weekly meetings help too. Just
Yeah.
so like we can get, we can make plans and we can understand what we're doing, so we're not,
It
just kind of
definitely
figuring it out on the
one
fly.
of my big vacations.
And we're
Yeah.
also trying to like when we
Vacations.
do shows and stuff, we're trying to like book them together, especially when they're out of state, so that we can have time and weekends to ourselves where we're not, just focusing on band stuff. And I like I think we've been doing around the same amount of out of state shows, and like I know we cut down on local shows, but every year I feel like we've been doing a good amount of out of state shows, and yeah, just a lot of them, just trying to stick them together. But I know we're focusing
Right.
a lot on social media, so the shows we're lacking a little bit, but we're really just trying to focus heavily on getting our name out there on
Mhm.
social media.
So do you guys find that that's a pretty important key, is social media, and
I think
having
that is
people,
the key.
so that's a pretty prominent thing then, right? As far
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
definitely.
say that too, because like, not for nothing, like sometimes, like, especially in the past, like Katie said, it's like, we've taken a lot less shows, but like we're all more about quality versus quantity, right? And it's like we want to make sure that, hey, if we're going to drive 4 hours to play a show, we want to like make sure like
Mhm.
it's that we're going to be able to play to people, right? Like that's obviously like the whole point of being in a band. And there's a lot of steps that involve that. And social media like absolutely plays a huge part in that, because like people find you on TikTok, they find you on Instagram, they find you on all these other platforms, they hear your music and they're like, oh my God, I live like 10 minutes away from the venue, I'm gonna come see you now. Whereas before, if you didn't do that, they would have never found you, so it's like, there's always like, we've had stories like that, which is like super awesome. But like that's basically kind of what we sort of do when it kind of pertains to that sort of thing.
Yeah. So now as you guys kind of molded yourself on social media, right? And you kind of have everything together now, where do you see the band going? Like, is this something that obviously you want to do full time and you're dedicated to it? That's the ultimate goal, right? Is to make music your livelihood and have enough. Hold on, let me get Phil back.
Yeah, I don't know. It does this to him sometimes. It's
All
just
right.
All
it
right.
just-
He came back.
He made it. He made it back.
At this.
yeah, it's okay. You always poor Phil always gets kicked from our meetings. I don't know why. You repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
So basically, like, obviously social media is important. And I kind of asked, like, where do you see the direction of the band going? Like, obviously you want to make this full time.
yeah.
And you said it earlier, Dylan, that it takes dedication, right? Like, it doesn't
yeah.
come easy. A lot of bands think that they just form, make a few songs, and they become rock stars overnight, right?
No.
You put a lot of heart and soul into this, but the ultimate goal is for this to be your livelihood, right? Where you are solely financially dependent on music as a band, right? That's
Yes.
assuming that's the
for
overall
sure.
projection of
yeah.
this.
I could probably speak for everyone and be like, probably at this point, I don't think it's crazy to say that we've probably invested like tens of thousands of hours into this
Mhm.
band. So it's like, we really I'll use a quote. It's like, like we say like we know what we have, and it's like we know what we have is good, and it's like we've had the absolute pleasure of like having so many fans like tell us that they listen to our music and that it's gotten them through tough times, and like people stream our stuff like all day, and it's just like it's really like humbling to hear. So it makes you want to do it, right? And
Okay.
it makes you want to keep putting yourself out there. And it's like I think a goal is like, we definitely like want to play the largest venue in our hometown. Like that would be so cool. Like we kind of did that, but we didn't play the main stage, but we did do that.
Yeah,
We didn't play the main stage,
we're
but
so close.
we did.
Yeah.
We pretty much did it, but it was like the main stage is like the next goal for sure. But like
Okay.
but that's like, step one is like, play the biggest place out here in Long Island. And then step two is like, I don't know, maybe tour with like one of our inspirations. I think, probably Cry at that.
Who would those bands be? Who would be like your inspiration? Like,
Oh boy. Like, I mean, for me, it'd definitely be Disturbed. I mean, if we ever got to play with Disturbed like that, forget it. I don't even know if I would talk. It would just, which is out of character for me because I never stop talking. So it's like for me, I don't want to say anything, but that would be the best lineup. All of our influences combined. That would be an interesting lineup too.
Yeah.
who would be some bands that would be on that bill?
Disturbed.
So Disturbed is one of them.
Disturbed.
I would say Evanescence.
Spirit Box,
Spirit Box, yes. Thank
Hailstorm.
you, Katie. Hailstorm.
Skillet for Skillet.
Skillet
Skillet would have to be on
for
it.
Phil.
Yeah.
There you
Kitty.
go. Yellow.
Oh yeah, Kitty. Yeah, Kitty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously you have a different dynamic, right? You have 2 females in the band and 2 males in the band, right? So
Mhm.
The
getting to
balance.
that uniqueness of it, right?
Yin and
How do you guys like focus on that, right? Because you mentioned Kitty, which is all female. There are a lot of bands that had females in it and males in the band. How do you guys mend that together? Obviously, you're a band, so you kind of probably don't care as much. But to a fan watching this or a viewer watching this, it's a pretty interesting mix because you don't see it that often.
Mhm.
No, you don't. I can't
Yeah.
name another band that has like a
That
four
has this
piece.
mix.
Yeah,
I
half
love
and
our
half.
little balanced mix.
Me too.
It's nice.
Yeah.
You know, you get different perspectives that way.
Mhm.
What band, Phil?
Yeah. Oh.
Skillet.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep, right back to my
Oh.
dad.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are already married, so it's kind of like okay.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a strength.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If anything, because we have so many, not so many, like we have different perceptions on life
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
experiences, and yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing.
I think it's nice because Katie and I like we do have like a feminine influence to our music. Like we do try to, sing about I don't know.
So it's,
Like we
it's
do
awesome
try to
'cause
sing
one
about
of-
like that,
One of my
feminine.
favorite bands of all time has a female singer, and it's Nightwish.
Yeah.
And I've always been a fan of hard, and like they are awesome. I've been a huge fan of them since they first came out, and it was always like it was unique because they were one of the first bands that I remember. I mean, obviously besides like the Joan Jetts and the Lizzie Bordens and stuff like that, where you had it, but she was the first singer that like kind of like moved me listening to music. Like that, her operatic voice was just like with the heavy metal was unlike anything I'd ever heard, and it was just like captivating.
Mm.
Yes,
So
yeah.
for me, Nightwish was definitely one of them, right? And obviously, I was a huge fan of White Zombie, and Sean Yeltsall was the bassist. So it was
Mhm.
kind of interesting to see a female in like a heavy metal band because you didn't really see much of that before, right? You had the hard rock influencers, but in an actual heavy metal band or a hardcore band, and now it's I don't want to say it's commonplace, but it's much more open to that, right? There's a lot of female fronted bands or female members in bands now.
Mhm.
So
I'm sure. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm sure maybe people would disagree with me, but I feel like if we did have male vocalists, I feel like we wouldn't be where we are. Like, I feel like
Mhm.
I feel like we'd sound like any other band, and that's what really makes us so
Mhm.
different is that we have the metal, the female fronted vocalists, and there's also like screams in there from females too. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Now touring, how are like the other bands with you guys? Are they respectful of the ladies? Are they nice and cordial? Are they kind of like they don't treat you any different, or have you
We haven't-
seen some of that, or
The bands aren't the problem.
Yeah.
It's the sound
That's
guys.
true.
It's the sound guys.
Those creepy sound guys.
Yeah.
It's so true.
If you also say if anyone does mess or try to with Katie or Sandy, it's kind of like Dylan and I are like, all right, let's go into brother mode. Don't mess it up.
Yeah, like our big brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
because I mean, personally, I would like to think that nobody would like disrespect you guys or say anything, but the reality is people are kind of ignorant, and they obviously do, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you have
True.
to face
Yeah.
it.
No, the bands, yeah, like Katie said, like that we most of the time we don't run into anybody bad in other bands. Like they're always respectful. Yeah, we don't have any issues like that with the band members.
Don't take these two kindness for weakness. You know, they're tough, these two. So
Yeah.
Or that way.
Oh, I carry pepper spray.
Right.
Am I that way or this way?
yeah, I'm
I'm right here.
I'm not
Oh,
gonna.
this way.
All I'm saying is, if there's arguing, I'm out. I'm not arguing with them.
Right.
No.
That's awesome. So, like I said, guys, it goes quick. So, with time running down, tell us like what are your next steps? Like you have the EP coming out. You're obviously still writing music and creating new songs, moving your art forward. Where do we see you guys in a year? Like, where would you like to be ideally?
Wow.
Mm,
Well, ideally playing festivals.
Okay.
yes.
Festival on a nice tour, maybe a nice month long tour. Working on a second EP. I don't know what else, guys.
I think you kind of
Yeah.
covered a lot of that. I mean, like I said, like playing like really, really big places with like regional acts, even maybe some national acts. Like we kind of did that already, but which is cool. But it's like you know, just more of that. Just way more of that. Like definitely like trying to continue to grow beyond the local circuit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's specifically.
Yeah. I mean, this year, like I feel like we're definitely establishing our brand a little
Mhm.
more.
Awesome.
We're establishing ourselves. Like we're really like, making our print on the world.
For sure. I wish you guys all the luck in the world, and obviously your music is great. You guys are super talented. So I wish you guys all the best. And then lastly, in the next few minutes, where could we find you guys? Drop your social media links. Where could fans reach you if they want to get in touch with you? How do they find you?
Yeah, totally. Our website, resistthetemptationband.com. Instagram is Resist the Temptation Official. No underscores, nothing. And I forget what our TikTok is, but we're on there a lot.
It's resistthetemptation.band.
Okay.
Yeah, something like
.band.
that.
Okay.
Couldn't take the band. Something was
Yeah.
wrong with the
The
user.
official too
I know.
long.
That's awesome. So what I'll do is when I post this video, guys, I'll link everything that you guys have. I'll put all your social medias in there. Obviously, we'll share the video out. I'll give you guys each your own, edited version of this. You guys can do what you want with it. Like I said, I know we're winding down here. We got about a minute left, but I just wanted to say again, thank you guys so much for being on. I really appreciate it. And like I said, Dylan, I met on TikTok on a whim one night. So, I mean, this is kind of unique that, you guys were able to do this where the universe kind of brought us together, which is the power of social media and networking, right? It's kind of such a unique tool. So I just wanted to take the time in the last few seconds that we have to thank you guys personally for being on. I was super excited when we got this figured out, and I wish we can do it again. Like I said, I wish you guys all the best in the world, and hopefully, maybe about 6 or 7 months from now, we can plan this again. You can come back and tell us everything you did this summer, what you have going on, and hopefully you'll be well on your way to that dream of playing festivals.
Thank you
you.
so
Yeah,
much.
thanks for
Thank
having
you
us.
so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Well, I am the One Fun Guy podcast. This is Resist the Temptation. This video will be up on YouTube in about an hour. I'll edit it, some stuff, and we'll go from there. I just want to thank you guys again for being a part of this. I really appreciate it, for taking your time on a Wednesday night.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
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 you.
you.
Much for having us.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. We'll see you
All right, have
guys
a
on
good
the
night.
next one.
Bye.